and mental health is something that we don't talk about enough. In the black community, we're massively overrepresented in the mental health institutions, even more so than in the prisons. And again, these are questions we have to ask. Well, why?
But once you get a control and an understanding of who you are, no one can use you against you. No one can ever use your mental illness against you. You've already spoke about it, so what you got?
The biggest point in life to resolve mental health is like giving a fuck about a person.
Where did you get the courage? I got the courage. The 2 words. I care.
It's Chill Will Radio, where connections will be made, advice will be given, jokes will be told, and things will get real. My name is Willis Cooks, and I'm your host. But understand this show is not meant to be used as a substitute for a relationship with a licensed mental health professional. Enjoy the show, y'all. Yo. What's the deal? We back for another episode, man. Let me get all this levels and music and stuff right. Make sure I can hear myself properly. How y'all doing out there, man? Everything is good. Everything is Gucci. But anyway, welcome. Welcome to another episode of Chill World Radio, man. Everything's dope. Everything's good. It's the first Sunday of the year, man. First Sunday of the year, the first week of the year. We are, 52 weeks a year? 51 weeks left. I hope everyone's year started off great. I hope everyone's year started off nice, man. I hope the way you came into the year and the way everything is good in the year, I hope it started off right. One of the things that I believe is important is that, sometimes everybody's not going to be able to reset, right? A lot of the times we use like New Year's and certain check marks to actual reset, right? To kind of start all the way over. But a lot of the time, certain things from the past, they're going to come in with you, right? There are certain things from 2019 that's going to come with us within 2020, right? We're not able to reset because how can we get rid of that? How can we get rid of that toxic person if that toxic person is our child, right? How can I get rid of that negative habit if that negative habit is a defense mechanism, or if it's a coping mechanism that I've learned based upon, the trauma or what I've been through growing up, right? How can we just get rid of whatever negative habit or whatever thing that we're trying to get rid of when that thing is so monumental in our life, right? It takes a while. It takes a very, very long time, right? It takes dedication. It takes commitment. It takes consistency. It takes hard work. It takes all of these things. It's just not going to happen on January 1st. Like, it's just not how things go. You're going to have to work yourself into it. You're going to have to go into it. So that's why when we're coming into the new year, some people just aren't able to reset. And that's okay, right? If you're just not able to reset, if you're not able to start all the way over, right? Some of the negative shit that you had in 2019 you probably brought with you in 2020, and that's fine, right? A lot of the times, and I think I said this on a blog post that I did or on Instagram, I said it somewhere, but, a lot of we speak about it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And there's truth to that, but there's not truth to that. Right? A lot of the times it does depend on how you start, but also, sometimes it may not really matter how you finish, but it really matters how quickly you get out of that hump, right? Because just like we could have positive momentum when it comes to stuff, we can also have negative momentum, right? We could also create a negative downward slope that we go down, right? And the longer that we're going down that slope, the harder it may be to get out of it. Right? One snowflake could flatten the car if it's going down a hill long enough. Right? One snowflake could flatten the car if it's going down a hill long enough. Right? Just like one problem could kill your whole entire mood. Right? Could put you down this downward realm or slope of depression or anxiety or problems or challenges or whatever it is if you don't take care of that one small little problem at that moment. Right? Or however quickly you possibly could be, right? So if you're starting off into the year, let's say you didn't start off on a good note, or let's say some of the negative things that was in 2019 you brought into 2020, that's fine, right? It's fine. But what you have to do is you just have to get up and just stand up and just call it quits to all of the negative things that are going on in your life. right? I believe we spoke about on this show before in the past, and I speak about it a lot. Life isn't about getting rid of negative thoughts or anything like that. Life is about counteracting them. Same with the problems that we have going on in our life, right? Whenever something negative happens, we have to throw in something positive in there to counteract it. Because what we don't want to do is we don't want to just start to see negative after negative after negative after negative after negative. Like, it happens like that, right? You get smacked in the head a bunch of times, then you wake up, you like, damn, life ain't giving me, no type of break. But the thing is, you have to give yourself type of break. You have to give yourself some type of break. Not life. If we're waiting on life to give you some type of break, you're going to be waiting for a minute, right? You're going to be waiting for a minute. It's on you to determine when that break is going to come, right? So starting off for 2020, man, how did you start the year off? What did you bring with you into the year, right? What did you bring with you into the year? Because we're around a lot of toxic people. Did you bring those toxic people in with you? Is it hard to get rid of those people? Did you bring a lot of these negative things with you? And if you did, it's okay. If you brought them in, if you didn't bring them into the year with you, that's cool too. But what are you going to do to stick with it? You got to be consistent in a lot of these things, right? Just like that downward slope is going to be consistently going downhill. You got to be consistent within that positive momentum that you're trying to bring, right? Every negative needs a positive in order to balance it out. You start to think negative, think positive, period. Because you don't have control over the negative stuff that comes into your life, but you have control over the positive things that do come. You have control over the place you go. You have control over the positive thoughts that come up in your head. You have control over those positive affirmations. You have control over, a lot of the things that go on in your life, right? Those things that you do have control over, make sure that they're positive. Make sure they're beautiful. Make sure they're holding some type of substance. Make sure they're actually meaningful. Right, that kind of goes into the main topic, but we get there, as we get there. But moving on to the new year, man, I hope everyone started the new year fresh, good. And if you haven't, that's cool. It's just another day. It's just another day. December 31st is no different than January 1st. It's just another day because those habits is going to be with you. Those negative people, they're going to be with you. But it's on you to determine what are you going to do about it. They're not just going to disappear because you said so. You have to work them out of your life. You have to work towards something new. And if you're not working towards something new, hey, don't get mad at what you get. Do not get mad at what you get if you're not putting forth the work. Because there's a lot of work that goes into negative things, right? There's also a lot of work that goes into positive things. We have to make work for us, okay? So, moving on forward into the self-care piece, right? This self-care piece it's about affirmations, and it's specifically for, it's for everyone, but specifically, for those people who are feeling down about themselves, right? A lot of the times, affirmations, right? They're everywhere. And it's a very cliche thing, right? Saying positive affirmations is very cliche, but things are cliche for a reason. They're cliche because they actually work, right? So this one little piece, right? This self-care regimen, this self-care piece, I want you to implement within your self-care regimen, right? I want you to write down 10 positive things about yourself. And a lot of the time, some of us may not be able to write down 10 positive things. We might write down 2, 3. Okay, if you can only write down 2 or 3, go out and ask somebody. Yo, what is one positive thing can you say about me? Everyone's going to be able to say at least one positive thing about you. Nobody's going to be like, oh, you're a terrible person, you're awful, and you should just die. Like, nobody's going to say no shit like that. Nobody is, right? Ask some of your friends. Ask some of your coworkers. Because when it comes to positive things and some of our positive attributes, we sweep them underneath the rug. Right? We just think like, that's just me. That's just how I am. We're like, nah, you really, really dope. Right? It's like those people who can sing, but they just be like, it's nothing. It's like, nah, you can really blow. Like, you can really, really sing. Whatever positive quality you have of you, you may not see it, so that's going to cause you to get it from somewhere else. And that's cool. But just make sure you get to that 10. Right? The reason why I say 10 is because you don't want 1 or 2 or the 3. You don't want like a small amount, because we have a list of negative things that we think about ourselves. Let's try to combat that list of negative things with a list of positive things, right? Let's not put one positive thing for every 10 negative things, right? Let's begin to overshadow that positive list let's begin to overshadow that negative list by putting in a bunch of positive things. So that's why I said let's start at 10. Come up with 10 things, and if you're not able to come up with those 10 things, ask some of your friends, coworkers, or whatever, for some help. Come up with those 10 things, write them on a piece of paper, write them on a sticky note, and just smack that shit on the mirror, right? Even if you get a dry erase marker and put it on the mirror in your bathroom, put it on the mirror in your bathroom. The reason why the mirror in your bathroom, that's the one place we go every single day, every single morning, every single night. I hope you brush your teeth, because that's why we're there doing that all the time, right? That's the first thing we look at, right? Look at ourselves in the mirror. And when we're looking ourselves in the mirror that morning and that night, read off those 10 things, right? I am whatever. I am strong. I am intelligent. I am smart. I am trustworthy. I am faithful. I am dependent. I am beautiful. I am amazing. I am honest. I am whatever. Right? Whatever positive attribute is on that list, make sure you say it. And when you're saying that thing, right, say it with some meaning. Say it like you believe it, right? Say it every morning and every night. The reason why it's important to say it every morning and every night is the same reason why negative thoughts stick. They stick because we tell those thoughts to ourselves all the time. That's why negative thoughts stick. Now, we have to begin to get those negative thoughts out. We have to begin to get rid of those negative thoughts. The way we do that is the same way those negative thoughts came in. We start saying a bunch of positive things about ourselves all the time. Make sure they stick. I believe it was like some weeks ago in which I, said like, use like the reminder on your phone to say one positive thing about you. So, at 2 o'clock every day or some shit like that, it's popping up on your phone. Set that reminder at 2 o'clock every day. I know I'm getting a notification that I'm a dope ass person. Cool. Every morning, you're going to say 10 positive things about yourself. I am whoop, 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 whoop. Whoopty, whoop, 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 whoop. I am these 10 things. At night, you're saying those same exact 10 things, right? So we can begin to create a habit of telling positive things to ourselves, because we habitually tell negative things to ourselves. We habitually tell ourselves that we ain't shit. We habitually tell ourselves that we're poor. We habitually tell ourselves that, I'm not good enough. I'm not faithful. I'm not strong. I'm not smart. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm ugly. I'm not good on this mic. Like all of these things that come up that we talk about ourselves, they are not things that just we hear one time and then we just believe it. It's like, we hear it multiple times, right? And a lot of the times when it comes to our negative thoughts, right, and when it comes to these negative characteristics, those aren't even our thoughts. A lot of the times, those are the thoughts of other people placing them on us, and we choose to believe those thoughts when we haven't even had the time or even given ourselves the ability to create our own thoughts, right? You haven't even given yourself the chance to create your own thoughts, but because you're so caught up in the other person's thoughts of you. You ain't call yourself ugly. That person called yourself ugly. You ain't said you were stupid. That person called you stupid. So now you believe what that person is thinking. Now you're just like, maybe I am. Maybe I'm not supposed to be here. Maybe because, don't nobody want to listen to my show, I'm not supposed to be on this mic. Maybe whatever it is. But those are the thoughts of other people. When we haven't even given ourselves the ability to tell our own self how we think and how we feel about ourselves. How do you truly feel about yourself? Say that to yourself every day. Because we hear the negative shit all the time. Let's stick to the positive. Say those 10 positive things every morning. When you look at yourself in that mirror, if you brush your teeth, say it, whatever it is. And make sure you say it out loud. Don't just say it in your head. Because we can say something in our head and just forget it just as easy. Right? It's way more effective if we say it out loud. Why? Because we can hear it. We can speak it and then we can hear it. It's like we get two forms of it. Right? Instead of just talking to ourselves in our head about it. It's not really going anywhere, right? We can throw any other thought out there to block it out. But as we're speaking, it's kind of hard to think about something while you're talking. Right? It's kind of hard to do that. So if you're telling yourself, I am great, I am fabulous, I am dope, I am all these other things, if you're telling yourself those 10 stuff, as you're speaking, you're not going to be able to give yourself something negative to say. Right? Say it out loud and say it with some purpose. Say it with some meaning. Say it with something. Don't just say the shit. But if you just say that shit, cool. Just say it. Because over time, it's going to begin to mean something. Over time, you're going to begin to see it within your life. Over time, you're going to be like, hey, I really am this dope-ass individual. You know, you got to tell yourself those things. And if you don't, who will? All right? So the self-care piece I want everyone to implement within their self-care regimen, right, is to write a list of 10 positive things, 10 positive characteristics. And if you aren't able to come up with 10, go to a friend, a coworker, a family member, anybody, and ask them, what is one positive thing about yourself? Could they tell you? Write that down, stick it on your mirror, get a dry erase marker. You can write it on the mirror, however it is, but just make sure that it is on that mirror in your bathroom. So when you wake up, when you go to that mirror in the morning, say it. When you go to that mirror before you go to sleep at night, say it. If you want to add extra more, anytime you go to the bathroom, you got to take a shit. Once you wash your hands, say it when you wash your hands, right? They say in the hospital, right, to make sure you're washing your hands at the right, because you're supposed to wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. Say the happy birthday song twice. Okay, cool. Instead of saying that, read your list while you're washing your hands. I am whoop, I am great, I am this, I am that. And once you get done with it, hey, then you get done washing your hands. Right? That's the self-care piece I want everyone to implement within their self-care regimen. We have to get into the habit of telling ourselves positive things. And that's the one thing we need to definitely make sure we do this year. Shit, every year, every day, this minute, this moment, whenever. Make sure you are habitually giving yourself something positive. A positive quote, positive affirmation, giving yourself credit, whatever it is. Make sure you are giving that to yourself. Because who will if ain't nobody else gonna do it? Alright? So, moving on forward into the main topic, right? The title is Meaningful versus Expedient, right? The reason why that's important is, and I'm taking this directly out of this guy, Jordan Peterson, right? One of his books. This is directly in reference to one of the chapters in his book, Do Something Meaningful, Never Expedient. Do something meaningful, not expedient, right? Do something meaningful, not expedient. The book is called 12 Rules to Chaos or something like that. 12 Rules to Chaos, Jordan Peterson. It's a really, really dope book. Really, really dope book. But the reason why this is thoroughly important is because we all do those things, right? We all do things expediently to get over whatever we need to get through, right? We're just worried about getting through the day. We're not worried about the long, the bigger picture, right? And sometimes those things that are expedient, they're needed, right? I just need to get through this right now so I can make it through the day. I don't got time to be thinking about what's going on, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to doing something meaningful, and when it comes to doing something expedient, doing something meaningful gives us a quick little break, right? It gives us a quick little break from the problems that we have going on in life. It gives us a quick little breather. And sometimes we need that. Right? But the thing with getting that quick fix, right? Because that's what expedient is, doing something quickly. The thing when it comes to getting that quick fix, when it comes to your problems, when it comes to the people, when it comes to finances, when it comes to fucking school, whatever it is, right? When it comes to getting that quick fix, we get the instant gratification at the moment, but then down the long run, it's going to finally catch up with us, right? So we begin to ask, like, is it more important to delay the gratification in order to get what we truly need? And to a certain extent, yeah, right? Because what it's going to allow us to do, it's going to allow us to find meaning in whatever we're doing, right? Because I read this quote month ago, right? It said eat poison every day so you don't overdose at the end of the month, right? Do that one thing that you don't like every day so it doesn't smack you in the face at the end of the month, right? If we're doing expedient things, if we're doing quick fix towards our problems, if we're just doing whatever to like mask our feelings or whatever, eventually it's going to smack us in the face later on down the road, because all we're doing is we're just stuffing it in, right? It's like if you're in school and you start cheating, right? Cheating is a quick fix towards a test, but then once you got to take that standardized test at the end of the year, you're going to be like, fuck, I don't know none of this. Now you just hit in the head, and now you're going to fail that test, and now you may not get into whatever program or school you need to get into, right? Same with everything in life, right? Eat your poison now so that way you don't have to overdose on it later on, right? Take those shots now so that way you don't have to overdose on it later on, so that way it doesn't kill you later on. But when it comes to meaningful stuff, right? When it comes to meaningful stuff, that's a scary thing, right? Because how do we know that, one, how do we know what we chasing is meaningful? And then how do we know that meaningful thing will actually work? And the fact of the matter is you don't know, right? The fact of the matter is it's scary, right? Because you're taking a risk, and taking any type of risk is scary. But is that risk that you're taking scarier than the thought of living within the current misery for however long you may live in it, right? What's scarier, taking that risk or still living in this misery, still living in this life that you dislike, right? At least you know when you're taking the risk, and when you're chasing something that's meaningful, or when you're doing something meaningful, you're going to come out with something positive on the other end. But how do you know if what you're doing is right or wrong? The thing is, you don't know, right? There's no real difference between right and wrong. Right is the same thing as wrong. Wrong is the same thing as right. Because when you're doing the wrong things, what you're doing is you're actually getting a little bit closer to the things that you're supposed to be doing. You're actually getting a little bit closer to the right things, right? It's like if you're driving a car. The first time you drive a car, you're hitting the gas too hard. You're hitting the brake too hard. It's like, oh, okay, I don't do this. The second time you drive a car, you're hitting the gas a little bit too slow. You're hitting the brake a little bit too slow. It's like, this ain't what I'm supposed to do, right? You do things wrong until you can be able to hit that sweet spot. So now once you're up in that car that third time, you're hitting the gas the right way, you're hitting the brake the right way, you're releasing the brake and the gas at the right time. You found that sweet spot. But the only way you're going to be able to find that sweet spot is if you fuck up. The only way you can fuck up is that you have to take these risks, right? When it comes to change that is meaningful, when it comes to change that is needed, you're going to feel pain. You're going to get hurt, right? You're going to get hurt. You're going to feel pain because you have to break the leash of that you've been accustomed to these whole years, this whole entire time, right? And that's what it is, right? The change is going to be painful. The change is going to be hard. But if you're not able to give yourself that time to actually be okay with it, then there's nothing going to come from it, right? And then that goes into the question of how do you find meaningful? How do you find meaning in life? How do you find meaning in work? And things of those sorts. There's a lot of different ways in which you can go about it, but one of the ways you can go about it is just take responsibility, right? And understand I'm speaking about things that are meaningful, not things that make you happy, right? There's two completely different things, right? I believe it's a privilege to do the things that make you happy, right? Because a lot of us aren't able to do the things that make us happy. Sometimes the thing that is meaningful may not be able to make you happy, right? The meaningful things may be getting up every single day at a certain time so you can get to work on time so you can pay your bills. That may not make you happy, but it's a meaningful thing within your life, right? That may be the one thing. I'm not speaking about doing something that's making you happy. I'm speaking about doing that one thing that is meaningful. So when it comes to what is meaningful and how do you find meaningful in your life, take responsibility, right? Take responsibility for your life. Take responsibility for the dirt in your closet. Take responsibility for the mess that you made. Take responsibility for all of these things. Because when you start to take responsibility for these things, you begin to become accountable. And once you begin to become accountable, you start to look at yourself a little bit differently. You start to hold yourself to a certain standard, right? You start to give yourself a little bit more credit. You start to put yourself in a position where I need to work my ass off to get out of this situation, right? Because you're not going to continue to want to stay down there, right? Find something to take responsibility for. Start with yourself. Start with the homework. Start with getting to work. Start with just being honest. Start with just telling the truth. Start with not lying, right? Whatever it is, just take responsibility for something. A lot of us, we don't take responsibility for our mistakes, for the things we have in our lives. I was speaking to Diddy about this earlier in the show, but for the excuses that we make. Let's take responsibility for the excuses that we make, for the excuses that we give ourselves in life, right? Because a lot of the things that we are going through in life are literally just one solution away from fixing everything. But the thing is, we come up with the coldest excuse to not do that one thing. And the one thing that we're supposed to do is actually small, right? Very, very small. But we always put other things in the way, right? We put this in the way, we put that in the way. You know, we don't really we don't really use those meaningful things as a priority. And when it comes to making those priorities, we're going to have to make some type of sacrifice, right? If we're going to prioritize one thing, we're going to have to sacrifice another. So what are you willing to sacrifice? And I also spoke about this like months ago on the show, but when it comes to picking your sacrifice, what's the sacrifice that are you willing to pick? Are you okay with sacrificing this instant gratification, this instant happiness, or this feel good right now in order to feel something great later on? Right? Pick your sacrifice before your sacrifice picks you. Right? That's the one thing you have the ability to control. What are you going to give up so you can be able to prioritize and take responsibility and find something meaningful within the things that you're doing? Right? So the one thing we all need to make sure we do in life in general, do the things that are meaningful, not expedient. Let's not try to find a quick fix. Let's not try to find, an easy way out, right? Let's not try to do that. Let's eat our poison. So let's eat our poison every day, so that way we don't have to overdose on it at the end of the year, or at the end of the month, or at the end of the week. Let's eat shit now so we don't have to bathe in shit later on. Like, let's take care of all of this stuff now, because you do not want life to smack you in the face. And life decides when it wants to smack you in the face, whenever it smacks you in the face. But the only way you're going to be ready is if you consistently put yourself in a position in which you are doing things that are meaningful, in which you are taking responsibility of the life that you in the life that you have. So take responsibility for the life that you have today, this year, this month, this second, whenever the hell you're listening to this show. Take responsibility for those things, right? For the car, for the mess in the house, for that bed that's not made up, for the food that you don't have in your fridge, for this whack job, for this bad friends. Take responsibility for those things. But also take responsibility for the good stuff. Take responsibility for, the goals that you've been able to accomplish last year. Take responsibilities for the good people that you have in your life. Take responsibility for, how far you came because it was crappy before. Take responsibility for both ends. And let's not put things off to the side, because no matter what, if we just put stuff off to the side and if we just stuff it, it's going to come back with a vengeance. It's going to come back on a mission to hurt you. Okay? So chase the things that are meaningful, never expedient. We're not trying to find a get rich quick thing. We're not trying to get over my shit real quick just so I can get through the day. It's like, nah. We trying to conquer this stuff so we don't have to deal with it again. And then when it does come up later on in life, it's going to be simple. We really, really ain't going to have to deal with it. All right? So moving forward into the question, right? Moving forward into the question. This is one question that I thought about as I was talking, and I typed it up like earlier in the day because I felt like this was dope. But when it comes to this stuff, and when it comes to the life that we have today, right? What is true about yourself today that would make your 10-year-old self cry? Right? We always say, what about yourself today will make your 10-year-old self happy or whatever the case may be. Like, nah. What is true about yourself today that will make your 10-year-old self cry? Right? What is it about yourself that will make your 10-year-old self be like, damn, you fucked up right now. You not good. You're not as honest as you should be. You know, you treating people badly. You know, you're not treating yourself as you should be. Whatever it is. What is one thing about yourself today that would make your 10-year-old self cry? If you could come up with that one thing, that's what you know you need to stop. If you could come up with that one thing, that's what you know you need to stop. Right? If you're not giving yourself free time, give yourself free time. If you're not being honest, start being honest. If you're not being truthful and giving yourself the credit you deserve, do that. If you're not being kind to yourself, do that. Whatever it is that you need to change, start there. Alright? So, good look into all those who are listening. Get to look into all those individuals who are going to be listening and tuning in today, tomorrow, at the end of the week, the year, whatever it is. Shouts out to you, man. It's a brand new year. It's 2020. This is the first Sunday, the first show, first all this good stuff. And we going to make this work, man. If you feel like 2019 wasn't your year and 2020 is going to be your year, hey, it can be your year. But let's start off with this being your day before it becomes your year, right? There's 365 days in a year. Let's have more positive days than we have negative days. That's how you make that year your year, right? Let's have more not negative thoughts, what the hell? Let's have more positive thoughts than negative thoughts. That's how you make that yours. Let's put more positive stuff in all of these negative things, right? Because there's always going to be a negative. But you have the choice to decide what is positive. You have the choice to decide what is dope. Alright? So as always, man, ain't no wealth without your mental health. So please stay blessed. Take care of yourself. Be great, y'all. Peace.